Laziness is not your identity, it's a habit. A neurological program your brain has run on repeat, tricking you into believing it defines who you are. But what if I told you that you are not the product of your past? What if you could rewire the very fabric of your brain and free yourself from the grip of laziness? Laziness is not an inherent trait, it is a habit, one that develops over time through repeated patterns of behavior and thinking. The brain, being the incredibly adaptive organ that it is, forms neural pathways based on repetition. When you continually choose inaction over action, your brain reinforces those pathways, making laziness feel natural or automatic. But here's the key. Just as habits are learned, they can also be unlearned. Laziness is simply a conditioned response that has become familiar, not an immutable part of your identity. Think about how habits form. Every time you procrastinate, your brain rewards you with a temporary sense of relief. You avoid the discomfort of effort or the fear of failure, and that avoidance creates a small dopamine hit, a false sense of satisfaction. Over time, this reward system builds a loop where inaction becomes the default response. The more you repeat the cycle, the stronger it becomes. Your brain starts to wire itself for laziness because it perceives it as an easy way to minimize discomfort. This process isn't random, it's survival-based. Your brain is wired to conserve energy and protect you from perceived threats, whether physical or emotional. Tasks that feel overwhelming or uncertain activate the same stress responses your ancestors experienced when facing danger. In response, your body triggers the urge to avoid. Laziness in this sense is a primitive survival mechanism, an outdated program that no longer serves you in modern life. Interestingly, laziness is often misunderstood. It isn't about a lack of ability or desire, it's about a conflict within the mind. On one hand, you have aspirations and goals that excite you. On the other hand, you have deeply ingrained patterns that resist change. And this internal tug-of-war drains your energy, leaving you feeling stuck. The mind's tendency to choose what is familiar over what is uncertain perpetuates the cycle, making laziness feel like an inescapable part of who you are. What makes this habit even more powerful is the role of unconscious programming. By the time you're an adult, most of your daily actions are governed by your subconscious mind. If laziness has been part of your routine for years, it operates in the background, shaping your choices without you even realizing it. You wake up intending to be productive, but before you know it, the day slips away and the familiar feeling of inertia takes over. Without conscious awareness, the cycle continues, reinforcing the habit. Moreover, societal influences often compound this habit. The world we live in offers countless distractions: social media, instant entertainment, and the allure of convenience. These external factors feed into your brain's preference for immediate gratification, making it even easier to succumb to laziness. The more you indulge in these distractions, the harder it becomes to break free. You are not lazy by nature. You've simply conditioned yourself, both internally and externally, to choose the path of least resistance. Self-sabotage is one of the most insidious behaviors because it often operates under the radar of your conscious awareness. It's not that you consciously decide to hold yourself back, but rather that deeply ingrained beliefs and fears steer you toward actions or inactions that undermine your goals. Self-sabotage stems from the subconscious mind, where your past experiences, emotions, and patterns of thinking are stored. When you lack awareness of these subconscious programs, they run on autopilot, preventing you from achieving what you truly desire. At the heart of self-sabotage lies fear. It could be fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of change. Fear is powerful because it keeps you anchored in what is familiar. Even when the familiar isn't serving you, it feels safe because it's predictable. For instance, you might want to start a new project or pursue a dream, but the fear of stepping into the unknown triggers self-doubt. Instead of moving forward, you unconsciously create distractions or excuses to avoid discomfort reinforcing the pattern of self-sabotage. Another key driver of self-sabotage is limiting beliefs. These are deeply rooted stories you've internalized about yourself and the world, often shaped by childhood experiences or societal conditioning. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, or things never work out for me, create invisible barriers to progress. These beliefs may not be apparent on the surface, but they influence your decisions, behaviors, and willingness to take risks. Without addressing these inner narratives, they become the silent architects of your self-sabotaging tendencies. Self-sabotage also thrives on procrastination and perfectionism. Procrastination is a way of delaying discomfort, while perfectionism sets impossibly high standards that often lead to inaction. Both are mechanisms of avoidance, protecting you from potential failure or judgment. When you procrastinate, you convince yourself there's always more time, but deep down, it's a form of self-betrayal. Similarly, perfectionism creates an illusion that unless everything is flawless, it's not worth doing. This mindset keeps you stuck in a loop of indecision and self-doubt. What makes self-sabotage particularly tricky is how it disguises itself as rationality. You may convince yourself that you're being cautious, waiting for the right time, or needing more information before taking action. On the surface, these justifications seem logical, but they are often excuses rooted in fear and resistance. The mind becomes adept at creating reasons to stay within your comfort zone, making it difficult to recognize that you're holding yourself back. The longer these patterns persist, the more ingrained they become. In many cases, self-sabotage is linked to an emotional comfort zone. This is the range of emotions and experiences your mind and body have grown accustomed to over time. If success, joy, or fulfillment feel unfamiliar, your subconscious may resist them, even if you consciously want them. Instead, you may gravitate toward behaviors or choices that maintain the emotional status quo. The mind and body crave consistency, so breaking free from self-sabotage requires becoming aware of these subconscious dynamics and actively choosing to disrupt them. Every thought you think carries energy, and this energy has the ability to influence not only your internal state, but also your external reality. Thoughts are not static. They are dynamic frequencies that shape the way you perceive the world and interact with it. When you repeatedly focus on a particular thought, whether positive or negative, you amplify its energetic presence, allowing it to take root in your subconscious mind. Over time, these recurring thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs shape your decisions, behaviors, and experiences. The energy of a thought doesn't stop at your mind, it extends into your body. When you think a stressful thought, your brain releases chemicals that trigger a physical reaction. Your heart rate might increase, your muscles tense, and your body prepares for a fight or flight response. On the other hand, when you think a calming or empowering thought, your body releases chemicals that promote relaxation and well-being. This shows how thoughts are not isolated to the mind. They create a cascade of energetic shifts that influence your entire being. Thoughts also carry a magnetic quality. What you think about consistently, you tend to attract. If your mind is filled with thoughts of scarcity, fear, or failure, you will find yourself aligning with situations that reflect those energies. Conversely, when you focus on thoughts of abundance, opportunity, and growth, your energy shifts to match those possibilities. This is not just a psychological phenomenon, it's a vibrational reality. Your thoughts set the energetic tone for the experiences you create in your life. The repetition of certain thoughts creates neural pathways in the brain, a process known as neuroplasticity. When you think a thought repeatedly, your brain wires itself to think that way more easily in the future. This is why it's so easy to get stuck in cycles of negative thinking. It's not just mental, it's neurological. However, the same principle works in your favor when you deliberately focus on empowering and constructive thoughts. By doing so, you are literally rewiring your brain to support higher levels of energy and possibility. Your thoughts also affect the energy field around you, influencing how you connect with others and the environment. Have you ever noticed how being around someone who is positive and confident makes you feel uplifted, while someone who is negative or critical seems to drain your energy? This is because your energy is constantly interacting with the energy of those around you. By cultivating empowering thoughts, you elevate not only your own energy, but also the energetic exchanges you have with others. The power of thought extends into your ability to create and manifest. Thoughts act as the blueprint for the life you build. When paired with clear intention and elevated emotion, your thoughts become a force of creation. They signal your brain and body to align with the energy of the future you desire. This process requires more than wishful thinking. It demands consistency, focus, and emotional investment. The energy of your thoughts, when directed with purpose, sets the stage for transformation and aligns you with the outcomes you wish to achieve. Your mind is like a powerful computer, and the programs it runs are your thoughts, beliefs, and habits. Most of these programs were installed during your early years when your brain was highly impressionable and your subconscious absorbed everything around you. These programs dictate how you think, act, and feel, often without you realizing it. The good news is that, just like a computer, your mind can be reprogrammed. You are not bound by the patterns of your past. By becoming aware of the old programs and consciously choosing new ones, you can reshape your mental operating system. Reprogramming your mind begins with awareness. Many of the beliefs and behaviors that shape your life operate below the level of consciousness. For example, if you constantly doubt your abilities or feel stuck, it's likely because of an underlying belief that you're not capable or deserving of success. These beliefs often come from past experiences, societal conditioning, or repeated thoughts that became ingrained over time. The first step to change is identifying these subconscious patterns and understanding how they influence your decisions and actions. Once you've identified limiting beliefs, the next step is to replace them with empowering ones. This process requires repetition and emotional engagement. Your subconscious mind learns through emotion and experience, not just logic. For instance, if you've been telling yourself, "I'm not good enough," you must actively replace that thought with a new belief, such as, "I am capable and worthy of success." But it's not enough to simply say it, you need to feel it. When you pair affirmations with elevated emotions like gratitude or excitement, you create a stronger impression on your subconscious mind. Visualization is another powerful tool for reprogramming your mind. When you visualize your desired outcome in vivid detail, your brain interprets it as if it's already happening. This activates neural pathways associated with that experience, making it easier for you to align your actions with your goals. For example, if you want to develop more confidence, visualize yourself speaking boldly, achieving your goals, and receiving positive feedback. The more you practice this mental rehearsal, the more your brain wires itself to support the version of you that you're imagining. Breaking free from old patterns also requires disrupting the emotional addictions tied to them. Your body becomes accustomed to the feelings associated with your habitual thoughts, whether it's stress, fear, or self-doubt. Even though these emotions may not serve you, they feel familiar, so your mind and body crave them. To reprogram your mind, you must consciously choose new emotional states. For instance, if you're used to feeling anxious, practice shifting into feelings of calm or empowerment. Over time, your body will learn to crave these elevated states instead of defaulting to the old ones. Consistency is key to reprogramming your mind. Neural pathways strengthen with repeated use. So the more you engage in thoughts and actions aligned with your new beliefs, the more ingrained they become. This process requires patience and commitment. At first, the old patterns may feel stubborn, but each time you interrupt them and choose a new thought or behavior, you weaken their grip. Over time, the new program becomes your default, allowing you to think, act, and feel in ways that align with the life you want to create. To create meaningful change in your life, you must first align with the version of yourself who has already achieved the outcomes you desire. This alignment isn't just about setting goals. It's about embodying the thoughts, emotions, and actions of your future self now. Your brain doesn't differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. It reacts to what you focus on. By visualizing and emotionally connecting with the future version of yourself, you begin to rewire your brain to reflect that reality. Your future self exists as a possibility in the quantum field of infinite outcomes. Every choice you make, every thought you think, and every emotion you feel shifts you closer to or further from that version of you. If you want to create a life of success, health, or happiness, you must first think greater than your current circumstances. Stop focusing on what's wrong, what's lacking, or what's holding you back. Instead, shift your attention to the future you, a person who has already overcome those obstacles and stepped into their potential. To align with your future self, you need to understand the habits and behaviors that define them. What does this version of you do differently? How do they start their day? What thoughts occupy their mind? How do they handle challenges? By getting clear on these details, you create a roadmap for transformation. Your job is to adopt these habits and behaviors in your present moment, even if they feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable at first. The more you practice acting like your future self, the more natural it becomes. Emotions are a critical part of this process. It's not enough to think about your future self, you must feel the emotions associated with that version of you. If your future self is confident, happy, and fulfilled, start generating those feelings now. Practice gratitude for the life you're creating, even before you see the evidence of it. When you combine elevated emotions with a clear intention, you signal to your brain and body that you are already living in alignment with your desired future. This is the energy that attracts new opportunities and possibilities into your life. One of the most powerful ways to align with your future self is through visualization. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living your ideal life. See the details vividly, where you are, who you're with, and what you're doing. Pay attention to how it feels. The more you practice this mental rehearsal, the more your brain starts to perceive this vision as your reality. Over time, you'll notice your thoughts, choices, and actions shifting to support this new identity. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. You're training your brain to recognize and create opportunities that align with your vision. It's important to recognize that your current self and your future self exist in a dynamic relationship. Every decision you make today shapes the trajectory of who you become tomorrow. When you align with your future self, you step out of reactive patterns and into intentional creation. Instead of being a product of your past, you become a creator of your future. The process of alignment requires self-discipline and consistency, but with each small choice you make to think, feel, and act like your future self, you bring that version of you closer to reality. Emotional addiction is a cycle in which your mind and body become chemically dependent on familiar feelings, even if those emotions are negative or disempowering. Stress, fear, anger, guilt, and sadness often become habitual states that your body unconsciously craves because it's used to operating under their influence. These emotions create specific chemical responses in the body, and over time, you become addicted to the emotional highs and lows they generate. Breaking free from this cycle requires recognizing that these emotional states are not who you are. They are just patterns you've practiced repeatedly. The first step in breaking emotional addiction is awareness. Most people are unaware that their emotions are running on autopilot, triggered by subconscious patterns. For example, if you wake up each day feeling anxious or frustrated, it's likely because your body has memorized those emotions and expects them to show up. This emotional addiction becomes so deeply ingrained that even when there's no external reason to feel a certain way, your body generates the emotions anyway. To break this cycle, you must become conscious of when and why these emotions arise. Your thoughts are the fuel for emotional addiction. Every thought you think sends a chemical signal to your body, creating a corresponding emotional response. If you consistently think about past failures, injustices, or fears, your body produces the chemicals associated with those feelings. Over time, this loop strengthens, making it harder to think new thoughts or feel new emotions. To disrupt this cycle, you must actively redirect your focus. By choosing empowering thoughts and shifting your attention away from old emotional triggers, you begin to starve the addiction. Breaking free from emotional addiction also requires addressing the physical side of the cycle. When your body becomes accustomed to certain emotions, it starts to crave them, much like a drug. For example, if you're addicted to stress, your body will create situations that perpetuate that stress because it has learned to function under those conditions. This is why people often sabotage their peace or create unnecessary drama. To interrupt this pattern, you need to teach your body to feel new emotions like calm, joy, or gratitude, even if they feel unfamiliar at first. Mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools for breaking emotional addiction because they allow you to step back and observe your thoughts and emotions without reacting to them. When you meditate, you create a gap between stimulus and response, giving yourself the opportunity to choose how you want to feel. Instead of automatically falling into old emotional patterns, you begin to create new ones based on conscious choice rather than unconscious habit. Consistency is essential in breaking emotional addiction. Just as it took time for your body to become addicted to certain emotions, it will take time to recondition it to new ones. You must practice feeling elevated emotions daily, even if it feels uncomfortable or unnatural at first. Gratitude, for example, is a powerful emotion that signals your brain and body to move out of survival mode and into creation mode. The more you practice feeling emotions that align with the life you want to create, the more your body learns to crave those elevated states instead of returning to old patterns. The present moment is the only place where true change and creation can occur. Yet many people live disconnected from it, caught in the web of past regrets or future anxieties. When you dwell on the past, you rehash old experiences, reinforcing the emotions and stories tied to them. When you worry about the future, you project fears and uncertainties that haven't even happened. Both keep you trapped in a state of mental and emotional survival. The present moment, however, offers freedom. It's where you reclaim your power and begin to shape a new reality. When you're fully present, your mind stops wandering and you gain clarity and focus. This state of mindfulness allows you to detach from the mental chatter that keeps you stuck in limiting cycles. The present moment doesn't carry the weight of your past mistakes or the burden of future expectations. It simply is. In this space, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, recognizing them as fleeting experiences rather than defining truths. This awareness creates the opportunity to break old patterns and choose new ones intentionally. Being present also gives you access to your body's intelligence. Your body is always living in the present moment. It's your mind that drifts into the past or future. When you connect with your body through your breath, movement, or sensations, you anchor yourself to the now. This connection not only grounds you, but also helps regulate your emotional state. By focusing on the present, you disrupt the cycle of reactive behavior and create a calm, centered energy that allows you to respond to life consciously instead of reacting unconsciously. The present moment is also where you access flow, the state of being fully immersed in an activity with a sense of effortless involvement. When you're in flow, time seems to disappear, and you operate at your highest level of creativity and productivity. This happens because your attention is entirely focused on the now, free from distractions or self-doubt. Flow isn't something you force, it's something you enter when you align with the present moment. By practicing mindfulness and reducing distractions, you create the conditions for flow to arise naturally. One of the most transformative aspects of living in the present moment is that it shifts your energy. When you're fully present, you're no longer expending energy on past grievances or future worries. This frees up mental and emotional resources to focus on what truly matters. The present moment is where gratitude, joy, and peace reside. When you choose to be present, you align with these elevated states, which have a ripple effect on your thoughts, actions, and overall energy. Living in the present creates a magnetic field that attracts positive experiences and opportunities. The present moment is not just a concept, it's a practice. To harness its power, you must make a conscious effort to return to it repeatedly throughout your day. Simple practices like mindful breathing, observing your surroundings, or pausing to feel gratitude can anchor you to the now. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to stay present, even in challenging situations. Each time you bring your awareness back to the present, you reclaim your power and remind yourself that the only moment you ever truly have is now. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is the result of small, consistent changes compounded over time. Many people become overwhelmed by the idea of change because they feel they need to overhaul their entire life in one giant leap. But true growth comes from the small, incremental steps you take daily. These small shifts may seem insignificant in the moment, but when repeated consistently, they build momentum and create lasting results. Change doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence and commitment to doing the small things that align with your goals. Every small action you take sends a signal to your brain and body that you're serious about change. Even the tiniest positive shift, like drinking an extra glass of water, meditating for 5 minutes, or saying no to a distraction, can start to rewire your brain. Over time, these small actions accumulate and become habits. What once felt like effort begins to feel natural, and what once seemed impossible becomes a part of your routine. This process of gradual adaptation makes the journey sustainable and prevents burnout or discouragement. Consistency is the secret ingredient that amplifies the power of small changes. A single act done once may not make a noticeable difference, but that same act repeated every day creates a foundation for transformation. Think of it like planting seeds. One day of watering won't yield results, but daily care will eventually produce growth. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. When you follow through with small commitments repeatedly, you prove to yourself that you are capable of staying on track, and this strengthens your confidence and resilience. Small, consistent changes are powerful because they lower the resistance to action. Large goals or dramatic shifts can feel intimidating, making it easy to procrastinate or give up. However, when you break those goals into smaller, manageable steps, the process becomes less daunting. For example, instead of committing to an hour-long workout every day, you could start with 10 minutes. Instead of writing an entire book in one sitting, you could write a single page each day. By focusing on the next small step, you bypass the fear of failure and maintain steady progress. The ripple effect of small changes often extends beyond the initial action. When you make one positive shift, it creates momentum for other changes to follow. For instance, committing to a healthier breakfast might inspire you to make better choices throughout the day. Starting a gratitude journal might shift your overall mindset to be more positive. These small actions create a domino effect, transforming multiple areas of your life without overwhelming you. The key is to start somewhere and trust that each small step will lead to bigger shifts over time. Patience is essential when making small, consistent changes. In a world that often glorifies instant results, it can be tempting to expect quick outcomes. But lasting transformation is a gradual process that requires time and dedication. Progress may feel slow at first, but the compound effect ensures that your efforts multiply over time. The small changes you make today may seem invisible, but they are building the foundation for a future that is aligned with your goals and aspirations. By committing to these daily actions, you lay the groundwork for lasting success and growth.